Hi, I'm Jeremy Raddick, and 30 years ago, I was lucky enough, as a fan of Doctor Who, to become part of the show's history when I appeared as Gareth in the 1996 Doctor Who TV movie. And you're listening to Mark Who 42. And after 30 years of new friends and amazing interactions and meeting my heroes, I can say that Doctor Who truly did change my life. Enjoy.
Mark Who 42 Universe.
Welcome to Mark Who 42. That's right, Mark Who 42, where we answer the nobody. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten, and with me today are...
Vicky Jakubowski.
Hey, Vicky.
Hi.
How's it? I love when you say that. That when I talk to you and you do that, it was like, oh, my day is made. That's why we do this show, just for that. We also have our other co-host,
Juan Sanmiguel.
Hey, Juan. Now, see, he doesn't do that. That doesn't give me that kind of. I don't get the thrills from him going hi. But anywho,
you just get the thrills by him being on the show.
Yes, he does. Anywho, today we have a show for you because it was 30 years ago today. Doctor Who began to play. No, I'm sorry. I was told no singing. I promise no singing.
Babe. Sorry,
I think I'm in trouble. I think I've. Well, you know what? Trish and Ed are not on the show anymore, so I don't have that rule about no singing. That unless you make a new rule, that rule is gone. We've got a show. 30 years ago this month, we had a little TV movie made called Doctor Who. It was in the middle of our wilderness years. You remember those years from 1989 to 2005 were the wilderness years? Well, in 1996, we got a break for about 90 minutes, plus commercials, so maybe 2 hours. And we will talk all about this and the anniversary and all that fun stuff right after these messages.
Don't go away. Don't go away. We'll be back with more Mark Who 42 after this.
Because the world needs another movie podcast.
The Geekcast Radio Network presents for your listening pleasure, The Cinema Geek.
Hosted by Amanda, Kevin, Matt, and Dan.
Each week we dive headfirst in the landscape of movies as we discuss movie news, play movie games,
go in-depth on reviews,
and even have a top 10 countdown or two.
Also, don't miss our director retrospective series, where we review noted directors' movies film by film. Bottom line is, if you love movies and love podcasts, you need to experience The Cinema Geeks.
You can find us on iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, or geekcastradio.com.
Get ready for the ultimate geek experience right here in the Sunshine State. Florida Geek Scene presents a full calendar of events and conventions. From anime to horror, we've got it all. Meet your favorite stars, find rare collectibles, and immerse yourself in your passion. Experience the thrill of cosplay and witness amazing live performances. Stay up to date with the latest news and reviews all across Florida. Florida Geek Scene, where pop culture happens. Visit us online for more. Don't miss out on the fun. Join us at Florida Geek Scene, floridageekscene.com.
You are listening to Mark Who 42's Universe.
And we're back with more of Mark Who 42. My name is Mark Baumgarten, and with me are Vicky Jakubowski, Juan Sanmiguel, and like I said, we are going to talk about the 30th anniversary of the TV movie Doctor Who, which aired in Canada on May 12th, 1996, here in the United States on May 14th on Fox. Interesting to say that, Doctor Who on Fox, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And in the UK on, 2 weeks later on May 27th on BBC One. Now, I want to say something about this. It's interesting that in England, 2 weeks later. Now, and this is something we've been talking about a little behind the scenes here. One, back in the 90s, there was a Doctor Who following. There was an internet group. There's Records Doctor Who, right?
Right. And also, I think I was following Doctor Who on Genie. Well,
Okay.
and also I was following Babylon 5. Actually, Joe Straczynski was actually posting regularly on the Babylon 5 groups. In fact, Babylon 5's spatial coordinates in three coordinate level was from the Babylon 5 area assignment on Genie, which was the GE service that was free after certain points because they didn't need the servers at that time. So they left it for bulletin boards, chat rooms, and the like.
I find it interesting because I don't remember hearing any backlash of the fact that since it was on 2 weeks later, that people in America and Canada could ruin it for the British public.
Well, I think if it's just like we were saying, if you're really determined, you could have found out everything you needed to know about it before it broadcasts in your local area.
The novelization came out before it came out in England as well. So I mean, really, you guys in England were screwed on this one.
I don't know about the book. I'll have to take your word for it.
Did come, and what's interesting is this is not the first time you were screwed. 5 Doctors in America, we got it on November 23rd, the anniversary. In England, you got it on November 25th. We do. I don't know why America. We are very entitled.
Well, I thought
Doctor Who. We are.
I thought in Britain the reason it got pushed to the 25th was because to make it part of the Queen's charity, the children in need.
Very cool.
Now,
because Children in Need is on one of the Fridays in November every year, and it started back in the day. And yeah.
Now, let me ask you guys. Now, I honestly can't remember when I first heard about it, but did you guys remember when you first heard that, hey, this thing was coming and it was going to be a real thing? I mean,
yeah, Doctor Who magazine and Starlog.
All right, I don't remember seeing it on Starlog, but
it was Starlog had stuff on it, but Doctor Who magazine, I had a subscription since the 80s, so I was kept up to date. I always got information, spoilers for my watching here because we got, I'm saying we got stuff before them, but no, of course, in England, you got whole doctors before we ever got them. but I was Doctor Who magazine and I got all the spoilers and stuff. So yeah, I remember it leading up to I remember Leonard Nimoy's production company is gonna work on it. He's gonna and Steven Spielberg. Well, actually, this version that came out wouldn't have happened if that Spielberg story hadn't happened. Because what am I trying to say? If I'm correct, Matthew Jacobs, the writer, was working with, and Geoffrey Sax were working with Universal, with the Spielberg entity that were going to make it. And then Spielberg kind of
first got the idea to do the movie. He was still a member of the Amblin production company before. And of course, during that time, between when Geoffrey started this project and when it was actually done, by the time it was done, Amblin had been absorbed into DreamWorks that Spielberg created. And so he actually gave it to Geoffrey as a parting gift and didn't make it, it didn't have to be under the DreamWorks title. And that's why he was able to do it with Universal, which of course anyone who knows Spielberg's story knows that there's a whole big connection with Spielberg and Universal.
Yeah, definitely. But so when I remember the build up, I mean, it was painfully to build up all the years of, oh yeah, this company will do it, oh they'll do it. I mean, it's what was it, the Carolyn Monroe movie that never and the I mean, there were just so many false starts and stuff.
And of course, Geoffrey originally was hoping to do 2 miniseries, and that's what it originally was going to be. And by the time it came to fruition, it was like Fox said, "Okay, well, we'll do a movie. Well, maybe 2 or 3 readings are good, but we'll do a movie."
Now, here's the problem. Not only did they just do a movie, and okay, yeah, it's a pilot. Oh, we're gonna make a pilot. Where did they drop it in the schedule? May 14th at 8 p.m. was the series finale of Roseanne. Okay, so we've got 50% of the audience going there. Then there's the NBA playoffs. The Chicago Bulls defeated the New York Knicks 94-81 in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference semifinals to win the series 4-1. There was no one watching Fox. Whether it was a good movie or a bad movie, there was no one watching Fox.
Well, to be fair to them, I mean, if I remember Fox, I don't know when Fox usually did their TV movies, and that might have been the only time. It's not good, but the thing is, I don't remember. I don't even know if they had Saturday and Sunday. Well, they had Sunday night. That's my correction. I don't know if they had Saturday night or Friday. No, did they have Friday night? No, of course the X-Files were on
X-Files,
Friday
yeah.
before they switched over to Sunday night.
They was, yeah. I mean, okay. Yeah. I think they did have their movie of the weeks on Tuesday, but that's not the week should have been picked a different week. And I do feel that it was placed there because Fox did not want to have it on their channel. They did not want a series on Fox.
I think I remember, and probably because I think I was still. No, I was watching the X-Files quite regularly at that time, and I think that's probably where I saw the ads because I don't even know if Married with Children was still on at that time, so I don't know if I was still watching. No, it was still on because I remember I had a roommate in 1997, and that was the last season where they just had an ordinary episode and they didn't do any type of series.
Yeah, there were like 11 years of Married with Children. That's a long running show for such a piece of.
Well, on a tangent, David Faustino, who played Bud, explained that on a local. He actually went on our local TV show, The Monsters, and he explained, the reason that they were on for so long, the ratings were in the toilet, but they didn't have anything to replace it with.
They could replace it with Doctor Who, but no, they screwed that up.
But to be honest, I saw ads, that the Doctor is coming and you'd see.
Yeah, and it's about time. And it's about time. Oh, they had commercials like crazy, but they paid for it. They made it. They had to publicize it. They had to get they had to do something with it. Unlike maybe, and we'll be talking to someone maybe about it the next episode about things not being placed when they've been made. But back then, things were you make it, you place it. And so they had, and it's about time. I love that advertising campaign, Doctor.
And I'm going to check on this about, I also think, I think also Daphne's show was, Daphne already did a DS9 at that point. So, so they, you had some, some name, at least you had somebody who had done a science fiction show and a popular one at the time.
Well, let's actually talk about that. So the actors, the people that were in the Doctor Who TV movie, okay. So you had Sylvester McCoy reprising his role. Whether or not that's a good idea we'll get to that in a little bit. You had Paul McGann, the new Doctor. You had Daphne Ashbrook as Grace Holloway. But the one actor that would be the one that in America people would know, people would want to see. We had Eric Roberts. That was the big name on this movie. I don't think the movie would have been made without a big name like Eric Roberts. Whether he was that big or not,
Universal wanted a big name for the Doctor, right? And as a compromise, the director who really wanted, I know that several people in the production of it really wanted Paul McGann. They felt he had the right presence, et cetera, et cetera. He gave a great audition. And so it's like, fine, let us have this British Doctor, but the master can be someone who is a name. And at that time, Eric Roberts was a name in America. And it was a huge fight with Universal.
I will bring this up. I don't know when I heard him say this, but it seems like every British actor of a certain age went up to audition for it because Jason Carter, who played Marcus Cole on Babylon 5, said that he went up for it and he didn't get it. And I think everybody agrees, and I think this is very important, and we'll get it later on, is that I think it was casted well. I mean, I think Paul McGann was the Doctor. I mean, it's gay.
And he was good.
And I will, but then again, I have gone on record for saying this, and I feel I got to do. I'm wondering if Tom Baker has always been right when he did the documentary Who's Doctor Who? Doctor Who is actor proof. I don't think any doctor has screwed up the role. Nobody has,
I would actually agree with that. There is something I've liked about every single one of them.
I mean, some have unfortunately had some more success than others, but that's about it. I don't think you can ever say that, well, they.
Well, I was telling Mark earlier when I first watched this, many moons ago. Honestly, I thought that Paul was an American actor. I was not familiar with him yet at that time. And it was one of my frustrations that they were taking my beloved TV show and making it all Americans. We know what happens when they try and make an American version of a British show. It don't go well. So I did have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder when I started watching it. Well, I also had a very young son at the time, so I wasn't sleeping.
Well, Vicky, actually, that brings up something that I just remembered. Did you have the Sci-Fi Channel? When it was SCI-FI?
When it was a good channel.
Think
so. It was a good channel.
There was, if I recall correctly, and people correct me if I'm wrong, but this is my memory. I decided to do this show by memory. Although I have a DVD for the TV movie, I decided no, let's wing it. And also I was trying to catch up on some stuff. But I think Sci-Fi Buzz did a whole segment on the TV movie, or at least a segment on Paul McGann, because I remember him being interviewed. Now, this is what I think I found out that Paul, I don't know if he cut his hair very short. I know he wore a wig for the movie, but his hair really looked short during the interview. And I remember there was an event to lead in the hosts of Sci-Fi Buzz was talking to Orson Scott Card. He goes, "Hey, Orson, are you a fan of Doctor Who?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, my son is all big into Doctor Who." And he goes, "Well, and then that was the segue into the interview with Paul McGann. This is how I remember it again. 30 years ago, they were trying to get eyeballs on the show, and Paul McGann was interviewed on Sci-Fi Buzz, and I just remembered he had this very short haircut.
Well, I actually heard a story about that where when he auditioned, he had long hair, and then he was playing another part and he cut all of his hair off. So when he showed up on set for the first day of the movie, they were like, "Where the hell's your hair?"
Yeah.
And they had to give him a wig, which he complained about. And anyone who's worn wigs will tell you, wigs, even the best ones they can make, are a pain in the butt to wear all day long in hot lights. But I think he made it work anyway.
Oh, and there's one more tangent before I think we get into the story. I just recently heard on Doctor Who, the Missing podcast episode, there was a person who was a very close friend to Jerry Davis, who's the co-creator of the Cybermen and the script editor in '66. This isn't now he had a taped interview where he and Jerry talked about his career as script editor, but he also said that Jerry, I'd heard this somewhere, that Jerry tried to resurrect the show shortly after the cancellation. This was his business plan. He was going to have a British doctor, an American companion, they'd make it in Canada, and he got Terry Nation on board, but I only think I heard that Terry Nation was also on board, but it was only so he could make sure that the Daleks would be available for the show.
I think I heard this too.
And he pitched this
to
the BBC, but unfortunately at that point, the BBC was not interested in making Doctor Who. So they shut that idea down. But this is close to almost what he had, because essentially you have an American companion, a British doctor, and it was made a large part of it in Canada, as a lot of things were made at that time.
What's interesting, I point out that, Fox, they sabotaged it here. The ratings in England, it did well. This TV movie did well. They liked it. I mean, we liked it too, but I mean, the audience figures, which is different over there than it is here. But if the BBC had the money, that would possibly have been, I guess we can continue this show. But that wasn't what they were looking for. They were looking for a partnership. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to even say partnership because what Disney just happened. I'm not really sure how partnerships work.
Well, no, the British, remember, there were a lot of British partnerships, at least in the 60s. The Avengers.
Yeah, they showed the Avengers on ABC. Yeah, that was on TV here.
Was a partnership. And I don't know if the Persuaders, or there were a bunch of British shows.
Yeah, Persuaders would have been the one with Roger Moore and
Tony Curtis.
That was a co-production. Terry Nation was actually the script editor for.
Was he?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I just watched an episode of it the other night, and his name is at the end credits. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, but the thing is, there was a lot of, and unfortunately, if you have a fall through. I mean, Blake 7 was originally going to be a co-production, but they couldn't get that together, and there was a lot of rush. In fact, I think because the DVD, I think Blu-ray DVDs have been coming out of Blake 7. They've been talking
Doctor
about
Who 2005 was co-produced by Canada. There was a Canada thing at the end of the episodes, if I remember correctly.
Right, but I think the thing is, no, the thing is, I remember because Blake 7 didn't have the co-production. They really had to rush in some ways. I think some people who were making it said it was even harder to make Blake 7 than it was to make Doctor Who, because I guess they weren't expecting.
Wow.
They were expecting more money than they actually.
Do you want to talk about the plot? Do we want to go into the plot? I mean, if you do, we can do that.
I can defend. Well, the plot I think was okay. Now, the thing is, also at this time we had the Virgin Press, or whatever the name of it, had the rights to write new Doctor Who adventures, and I think at that time they were doing the Missing Adventures. So
yeah,
the
Missing Adventures were there too. Yeah.
So you had a lot of this going on. So the thing is, when you get to this point, now I hadn't read the last, and I don't know if they had published Lung Barrow or the last, because Virgin Press around this time would lose the rights and the BBC would take over publishing Doctor Who from then until now.
I think Lung Barrow had still not come out. I think the TV movie was before the end of the Seventh Doctor run. I think there were a few books. I can look into that while you're talking. Go for it.
Right. So the thing is, all this stuff about, I guess the biggest thing about the plot that everybody drives everybody crazy about, or at least one of them, is the half-human part. Now, to me, that really didn't bother me. I don't know if I'm bringing this out too early, but the issue of it was, in the New Adventures, they talked about that there was something mysterious. They were going through the Cartmel plan, that there was something more mysterious. The Doctor wasn't just a Time Lord.
Yeah.
And what I didn't realize that it was going, they were going to end it with Lung Barrow, which explained the whole thing of the genetic looms, and that the Doctor was part of a great Time Lord from the time of Rassilon, or he had some of his DNA in it. So when he says the Doctor's half human, it goes, oh, okay, is that what they wanted it to be? And, I just ran with it. I remember one of the comics, they retconned it, that the Doctor had done what they did in the human, the Paul Cornell story, The Family of Blood.
You're talking about Human Nature.
And Human Nature, where essentially the Doctor became half human because he used the fob watch to wipe out his. That was in a comic. That was in one of the American comics.
By the way, Lung Barrow came out March 1997. The books, the Seven Doctors kept coming up, but they were still being published, but it was canceled. The BBC was taking over. They did one Eighth Doctor story, The Dying Days, which I actually reviewed on an episode of TARDIS Travel Guide a couple of months ago. It's a great story with the Eighth Doctor and Bernice Summerfield and the Ice Warriors, and it's a great story. But yeah, so you're right. That was something I didn't like, especially when the TV movie did not make a hit of it. I was like, and now we've lost Virgin books. I don't want to read BBC books. I'm enjoying the Virgin books. And we've lost that because they made this TV movie that didn't make it.
Was there really that big of a change between?
Well, okay. Not completely. They were saying, oh, we're not going to have continuations. It's not going to be it. There were. And it was a serial. And so, yeah, we're, as a person in America reading the books and knowing the series isn't going on, it wasn't fair. But BBC books weren't bad. I enjoyed the BBC books after I read them. But that's a lot of things in the world. When you're looking, when something's going to change, you don't want that change. And I wanted to say something. I mentioned it a few moments ago, a little while ago, when I was saying who was in it, and I said Sylvester McCoy, and I said maybe he should. What do you think? Do you think they should have had Sylvester McCoy in to bring a link to the old show and have him regenerate? Because if you think about it, if there's 90 minutes of show, half an hour of that was Sylvester McCoy, and so you only got Paul McGann. This is supposed to be a pilot, right? You only got Paul McGann for less than an hour. and that you didn't get to really delve into him. Maybe it could have worked better. What do you guys think on that? I mean, I love Sylvester. I'm not telling him he shouldn't have been in it. Sylvester's great. I'm not saying that.
I like having and I realize it's different when you have a TV movie versus a series. Even if this was the hope to become a pilot, that was probably taking a risk.
Yeah.
And I recognize that one of the concerns at the time was both Geoffrey and the producers, since this was more geared towards an American audience in many ways, would they even know who Sylvester is? But the explanation of regeneration, it felt to me like that was an important part to be in there, but maybe they dragged it too long.
Personally, I was excited at the time because, hey, great, they're going to...
Oh, it was exciting, yeah.
They were going to, bringing back Sylvester. So on retrospect, obviously, you're running out of time and maybe you should have done the regeneration as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have opened up with the regeneration, but then they have to also set up, the fact that he's bringing the master to Gallifrey, which I think they reference in Lungbarrow.
Bring the master to Skaro.
No.
To Skaro.
I thought he was taking his remains
right.
back to
From
Gallifrey.
you're right, the trial, and then to hell. Yes,
which
you're
is
right.
also kind of weird. Why would the Daleks have a trial?
I know. That was kind of weird too. Another thing that was like, really?
Well, if we're going to talk about what's weird, is the master is the space worm or space snake
slug.
Or whatever the
space slug, whatever that
actually,
was.
Okay.
I think in the books they actually kind of set up some, or the thing is, I think they gave the master some.
If you read the TV movie book, the novelization, it does make more literal sense.
Yeah, because there was a lot of that I was like, excuse me, since when does what? And I have to say one thing about the overall. I know this came out in '96, but as I rewatched it yesterday, I will tell you, my first feeling was, wow, this feels awfully 80s. It feels very 82, movie of the week sort of thing, especially for being 96. It felt very 80s, and it felt very American, which there were some things about American movies, TV movies in the 80s and the 90s that were not good. And I felt like someone was trying to take this great product and squish it into, a square peg in a round hole. And if they had not tried to force that so much to fit the American mold, I think it would have been overall better.
Yeah, I will say 100% on that one. I agree.
So
I agree. But yeah, I mean, the master, the trial, taking him back to Gallifrey, all that fun stuff. The broken record. That worked. I enjoyed that when the record slipped, the time was slipping. That worked for me.
Yeah,
that worked.
There was an interesting touch.
And speaking of that TARDIS console, I think the console still survives and gets it's at
yes.
Gallifrey
It
1.
was. I got to see it at Gallifrey. Wasn't it at Gallifrey in 2018? Wasn't it there?
Well, I thought it's always there. I thought it's something.
Maybe it's always there. Well,
they don't always have the exact same.
It was the only year I was there,
console.
so yeah, might have been there.
I know it's changed up in the years that I've gone, but I've only gone in the last 3-4 years.
Speaking of conventions, 10 years ago, I was invited to Geekonomicon in Oklahoma City. They were having a 20th anniversary TV movie celebration. And who is there? There's a picture behind me. You can't see it, folks. There's Eric Roberts. There's Jeremy Radigan, Yi-Ji So, Daphne Ashbrook, Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann, and Eliza, Eric's wife, who played his wife in the episode, actually.
I forget, is Eric Emma's father?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Emma did a very cute well, I don't want to diminish it. She did a very good version of Nancy Drew a few years back, and
Yeah,
also
she actually did.
And then she completely switched type, and she played an awful villainess on American Horror Story. I think she played a very conniving witch. Did you caught that, Vicky? So
yeah, I've had my issues with American Horror Story.
fair enough.
We'll save that for another day.
Okay. So I was kind of skirting around the plot, but does someone want to do the plot?
Yeah.
You want to give the plot?
Do you want to do it, Vicky, or should I?
Vicky's good at that.
All right, Vicky.
Okay, 2-second version.
Oh, that's always good.
Okay, so we open up. We've got the Doctor, Sylvester McCoy, the last Doctor from the last Doctor Who TV series. He's sitting there enjoying listening to music. We actually hear a little voiceover, and of course, it's actually Paul McGann doing the voiceover, and giving us the where are we now kind of thing. He's taking a casket filled with the remains of the master to be put on trial. He thinks it's not a good idea. Sure enough, there's a time slip. It's a little confusing. Chicken or the egg, what happened first? Was the time slipping, thus the casket cracked? Or did the casket crack causing the time slip? A little unsure which way that went. But
I like you saying chicken and the egg. I like that description of it. Let's go with that. We don't know. I don't know which was first.
So we get the ooze. And of course, he has to make an emergency stop. So he stops in San Francisco on December 30th of 1999. And he gets out, and of course, he lands his TARDIS in the worst possible place. There's a gang fight coming on. There are Chinese American guys are trying to run away from these other guys. They shoot. The Doctor gets hit. And one of the characters, Cheng Li, right?
Yeah.
Cheng Li.
Thank you, because I suddenly couldn't remember his name. He finds the Doctor, takes him to the hospital, and of course, all sorts of shenanigans with a guy with two hearts happen there. Oh, it's a double image. No, it's not a double image. It's a double image. So let's go and call our #1 cardiac doctor. She, of course, is at the opera listening to Puccini, which is Madame Butterfly. And if you know anything about Madame Butterfly, it's all about change and disguises and everything else, quite fitting for Doctor Who. And then he dies on the operating table because the hearts aren't where the heart is not where it's supposed to be, and he has two hearts. Which, on a side note, leads to this whole big discussion about, we'll forgive you if you do this. She quits. She says, forget it. I'm not playing this game on whose fault was who. Something was definitely wrong. Guy burns the x-ray. Very 80s feel, although I don't know, dealing with the medical profession right now kind of feels like what it would be like right now too. So he's put in the morgue. In the morgue, he regenerates. And as always happens, he has a slight amnesia, but it's 90 minutes long, so he has to get over his amnesia faster than he normally does. He runs into Dr. Grace Holloway, who's the doctor who quit. And he's trying to remember who's what. At the same time, the master has climbed into, what did we call him? A space slug? Climbs into the EMT that took the Doctor to the hospital, played by Eric Roberts. And it enters him, and there's a little scene with him and his wife, and he says, "Call me the master," and his eyes glow and become snake-like, which again,
ooh, and she liked that, didn't she? She liked "Call Me the Master."
Oh my God, it was so no, okay. Anyway. So then, so the master can't open the Eye of Harmony in the TARDIS.
The Eye of Harmony in the TARDIS? What?
No, wait. If you let me have a... Vicky, can you hit pause for a minute?
Tagging you in.
In the expanded universe, it was kind of implied that each TARDIS either was connected or had a piece of the Eye of Harmony. So that didn't bother me at the time. It still doesn't bother me right now.
Okay.
So That's neat.
I didn't have a problem with it overall. I did think it was funny that as soon, because having not watched this for years and watching it this past weekend, it was really funny because as soon as I saw it, the first thing that came to mind was beryllium sphere from Galaxy Quest, because it looked just like that.
I have to tell you, I was on the side of the Doctor Who fans who were like, that didn't make sense. The Eye of Harmony is not there. That's not the Eye of Harmony. It can't be. No. I was on that side of the argument.
I could live with that plot point, but it was weird that it required a human.
That was the other segment of it. That was, yeah.
So, and of course, that plays into the fact that maybe or
Doctors
maybe not, the doctors have human.
Oh.
And so he grabs the master grabs Chang and says, "Hey, he gives him a whole song and dance about how the doctor has stolen his body, and he needs to set everything right with the world." And he does a really good. Yeah, what did I forget?
I was going to mention the camp nature of that, and Eric Roberts was totally
he was
exuding something. He was eating the scenery, and he has stolen my body, and I'm yeah.
He definitely plays a bad guy in a delicious fashion.
In a very delicious fashion.
I will give him that.
Yeah.
And so he convinces Chang to help him. So Chang's trying to help him. They open the eye at one point. As soon as that happens, the doctor gets all of his memories back and he knows that the master's after him. So then we have what feels suspiciously like a little like Big Trouble in Little China, kind of Miami Vice, trying to, will they get where they need to go in time? And they have to go get an atomic clock out of a museum or university. I forget now which one it was. And who gets it first?
The atomic clock, they were making a big presentation of it. It was supposed to be a special one specifically for that they were making for the new year. And it was a new version of it. And yeah.
And of course, it's really funny because one of the things that struck me, so
nice
of course,
MacGuffin.
this was released in 96.
Yeah.
And it refers to 99. And all I can think about is what the universe felt like on December 30th, 1st of 1999 and the fear of Y2K. So it's just like, and
was Y2K a thing in 96? Was that a big thing in 96?
We didn't know how big it was going to be until the end of 98 that someone from Apple said, "Hey, you realize our clocks don't."
No, actually, I got to say that because of my job.
Oh, no, you're right. Apple said that theirs would not be affected.
No, but I have to correct you, because at my job, I was a little bit angry because I was at that time working in Virginia, and I tried to get a transfer to Florida, and the work in Florida, was going to be doing Y2K stuff and evaluating and trying to figure out how to solve that. But by the people who were charging, I was an intern at the time. I wasn't. I was being paid full time. I was being paid full time, but I was an intern, so I was as an underling. And they said, we don't think that's good enough for your development. Now, this is vivid in my memory because I think a few months later, they said, "Hey, we might task you with doing some Y2K stuff," and I gave him and the guy was cool. He said, "Yes, I know. I'm sorry," and because he knew I wanted to get back to Florida. I was a Floridian, and eventually it worked out because I got transferred to Orlando. But Y2K was a thing.
With you. Okay, thank you. Good point.
But when you finish talking about the scene in the museum, there is one thing I want to bring up after that.
Oh.
Well, my favorite friend from the TV movie, Gareth. Jeremy Raddick played Gareth. Would you care for a jelly baby?
I don't remember that, but
the jelly baby is how he got around him. Gareth was given a jelly baby by the doctor.
No, but what I remember about that is, so the doctor and Grace get the part that they need, and then at some point the doctor has to jump on a motorcycle with Grace on the back and get back to the TARDIS. And I just thought that was marvelous. That would have been something John Pertwee would have done. I mean, John loved motorcycles. The only other doctor who rode a motorcycle at that point, up to that time, was
and then, of course,
Sylvester.
as those strict fans were saying, that policeman rode his motorcycle in and out. That's not right. That's not. We were picky fans back
that
then.
was a nice touch.
Yeah.
So of course, they're getting back to the TARDIS, and I'm trying to remember the order of things. Even though I just watched it, it kind of, typical TV movie fashion, not quite Keystone Cops, but a lot of boom, 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 boom. And so I know the Master tries to get Lee to reopen the eye, and he says no, because he's realized that he's being tricked. So he kills him, and then he gets into Grace's body to open the eye. And then he kills her too. I mean, there's a lot of things going on in a very short period of time. And eventually the doctor because the doctor turned Lee, the doctor then, oh God, I'm suddenly drawing a blank. Okay. Grace, for some reason, breaks the Master's control, and she tries to free the doctor from the Master's. The whole thing was convoluted, I'll be honest.
And then there was a cosmic reset switch. That was also another issue back then that
the Master kills Grace and Chang, and the doctor is able to beat the Master, pushes the Master into the eye. The eye closes, and time goes back a few minutes in a very interesting timey-wimey scene. As a matter of fact, when I was rewatching it, I had forgotten he brought them back. And suddenly they're alive again, and they still have a few moments before midnight. And then, so the doctor offers Grace to become his new companion. She declines. He tells Lee, hey, don't be in New York next year, New Year's Eve, which I felt was trying to be a setup for another TV movie or a TV series. And then he gets in the TARDIS, and then we're basically getting the exact scene from the beginning at the end, but now we've got Paul in the seat, and he's going off to, is it Gallifrey or
Gallifrey? He was taking him back to the. It was Gallifrey. It was Gallifrey. I do want to push back and say that I was wondering. Yeah.
No, and so he's on his way back to Gallifrey, reading his book, which, if I recall correctly,
The Time Machine.
It was The Time Machine by H.G. Wells.
Yeah.
And he's listening to Madame Butterfly, and it skips, and that's pretty much where it ends. And it's not horrible.
It wasn't horrible in any way, shape, or form. I would have been happy with the series if that, honest to God, was a pilot. I would have been very happy to watch the series.
I will tell you that supposedly, and I know it's got to exist somewhere, Geoffrey has a whole Bible.
Spider Daleks.
Yes. And then they had not a full script, but they had a storyline for 6 episodes, and it was all written out, and that was early on, like in the late 80s, when he was first trying to shop this around. And listening to the plot points, I was like, oh, that could have been a fun show. Oh, that might have been fun. Oh, I like that one. Why don't we have these? Okay, what did I miss in my badly deconstructed plot points?
No, I think you got it right.
I think you got it right.
I mean, I think it was. I thought, as I said, I was okay with it. I think, because I mean, it's like new Doctor Who, so I was like, I reran it probably a lot of times because I did record it, because God knows when there will be another Doctor Who.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if we knew if it was a done deal. I don't know if we knew what the fate was of. We didn't know what its fate was, or what was going to happen to it. So I think, so you watched it, and hey, there's that scene, that's that cool scene, here's the Doctor. No, I mean, yeah, it was kind of crazy. I mean, I think the thing is, they wanted to go for a big enemy, so it was either going to be the Master or the Daleks, and I think they would have had to have constructed Daleks or get Daleks from somewhere, so that was a big overhead expense. And the biggest expense
in a documentary I watched, they talked about how one version of the movie script was going to be Daleks, but they were going to be humanoid.
Yes, I remember.
And the BBC said, "Hell no."
Yeah, hell no, hell no to the no.
Well, I think and I think they were right. Actually,
however, what happens in Asylum of the Daleks? You have the humanoid Daleks. So there you go.
True.
There you go. We have them eventually.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned that because I think Ron Moore, who will be guest of honor at the WorldCon in LA, said that unfortunately one of the reasons they had to go with humanoid Cylons was because they didn't have money to CGI or to create functional Cylons. So that's why they went with the 9 or I forget the 12 humanoid models of that time. And as I said, no, I can understand why they would try to. They also had a crazy idea that the Doctor was going to be looking for Barusa, which was going to be a father figure.
Oh, I remember
that.
But but the fact, so it got made. I think.
Yes.
It did.
But unfortunately, as Mark mentioned, it did not. It had problems in the ratings,
scheduling,
and obviously things didn't go the way that we wanted them to go. That they wanted them to go. So
there's a little bit of that, when in retrospect, you can look at it and go, despite all the problems, despite all the production issues, despite all the writing issues, and everything else that was working against it, it's not as bad as I remember it being 30 years ago.
Right.
And B, you know what? It was a pretty good effort. It could have brought back, wouldn't have taken another 9 years for Doctor Who to come back if it had been more successful. And I can't help but agree with you guys that I think there was everything working against this. Timing, the way it was probably sold to American audiences, especially non-Doctor Who fans.
I don't think a non-Doctor Who
have
fan,
a fandom,
I don't think a non-Doctor Who fan needed 30 minutes of Sylvester McCoy.
Probably not.
Now, for us Who fans, it was great, amazing. Sylvester's back. Oh, this is so beautiful. I love this. Oh, it's great. But to a non-Doctor Who fan,
that's the balance that so often when you have something that has a large fan base.
Yeah.
How do you reboot or how do you add to the story? I mean, we've seen this with Doctor Who. We've seen this with Star Wars and Star Trek, and there's debates that will go on until the end of time about, well, they shouldn't have done this, but they should have done this. And, sometimes we as fans get a little pushy.
And it's interesting to note when Eccleston came on, no regeneration, he just showed up and the story started. And legitimately, that's where Paul McGann should have started. Just started. You could have comments about it or things at the end of the season, maybe have something about regeneration. Not that they were actually going to do that until Eccleston was leaving. But yeah, I love you, Sylvester, but I almost wish you didn't have that paycheck and we could have started with Paul.
Well,
and maybe we had a better shot.
About regenerations, I like seeing where Paul regenerates into John Hurt, who regenerates into Eccleston.
And so yes, it is
nice touch.
Yeah.
But that was also several years into the New Who.
And they took up 30 minutes of plot time with a character that wasn't in the movie.
Yeah.
And
if it had been a longer movie,
was part of the
issue. If it had been a series, you could have done that.
Yes, definitely. But this was now being called a TV movie, not a pilot. It was a backdoor pilot.
It was not a pilot. Several years after. I mean, when was the last episode of Doctor Who with Sylvester?
89.
89. That's a long time.
I don't know if we want to go. I think we've kind of covered the plot. I mean, we want to go into the legacy, and I think Mark kind of mentioned it. Unfortunately, for better or for worse, this kind of led, when Russell and his team of what to do and what not to do. And one of the things they did determine was that they weren't going to bring Paul back to do the regeneration. However, I did find out that they did offer the magazine the regeneration in the comic strip. The problem was that they would have had to have done something with the companion, and they couldn't team up Christopher Eccleston's Doctor with the comic companion because the companion, the new companions, starting with Billy, Billy and slash Rose, they were going to be as important as the Doctor, so they couldn't have like a separate companion, and they were going to be part of it. So, and they even did some. If you do get the books, the collections, they did show a picture of Christopher Eccleston in Paul McGann's costume. So that was a thing that they did consider. But I think the big legacy is now we had a new Doctor, and although it was, I think, a few months before he got into the comic strip, I think the Doctor Who magazine had decided to put a pause on Doctor and Ace comics for a while.
Yeah, they were doing different Doctors. They were bouncing back and forth.
And then they decided to do to bring back the Doctor and Ace, and I think they got the rights to Paul McGann, and they did the last Doctor and Ace stories where they killed off Ace.
They killed off Ace. It was one of the they killed off Ace.
But she got better anyway.
And she got thank you. And she got better.
But an interesting thing that I heard about Paul McGann's Doctor is, isn't he the longest running Doctor on Big Finish?
Possibly. I mean, he was on for 9 years he was on the comic book for about 9 years. I mean, literally. Although they were sometimes tinkering around, should we have a 9th Doctor? In fact, in the comic.
Oh, the Nick Briggs Doctor.
Well, that was
hysterically funny. I love the fact that Nick Briggs was the image that they brought in when Paul McGann regenerated into Nick Briggs.
That was a trick story. I mean,
I know. That's not the one you were talking about. I'm sorry.
No. That was
going for the trick story.
No, I was just talking about we had a new Doctor, and the thing is, I'm a big fan of the comic book strip, and I have all 4 volumes of Paul McGann's comic strips, and
those are great. After the Flood, those are.
Oh
good
yeah,
books.
so
Great
Paul
books.
McGann had a very good career in comics, and then and Big Finish. I forget when Big Finish got the rights to do the 8th Doctor.
Okay, so Benny was 1998, then Doctor Who 1999. Paul McGann came in. So Paul McGann would have been 2000, 2001 when they got the rights to Paul.
That sounds about right.
It's about 2001, I think.
Although for some reason it had something to do with the rights of the TV show, they couldn't bring Grace back as a companion.
No, and she's been back. Daphne Ashbrook has been on in Big Finish stories with Paul McGann several times, including one that's coming up like any month now, but not as Grace Holloway.
But not as Dr. Grace.
No.
I thought I got a story. I thought there was one story in which they brought Grace back, and she also had a cameo in the last Paul McGann story because there was like an Earth or universe shattering event, and they're cutting clips, and they show Izzy, who was the Doctor's other comic book companion, and they show Grace sitting at a table at a restaurant. And at that time, the Doctor, he had an alien companion at the end, who had actually, I think, at one point stolen Izzy's body. They did a body swap. Destry, I think her name was Destry.
Destry was the name, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had this long, and then of course the culmination of that is that he was shown in Paul McGann was shown in flashbacks, and we got the surprise a few weeks, or I forget what the timeline was, when we got Night of the Doctor came out, and we saw that Paul McGann got to do the Doctor his way, no wig, a costume that he more or less liked, the new costume, and he was the Doctor again for a little bit.
Okay.
Grace Holloway. The Doctor you were expecting.
Okay, Grace Holloway, did not make an appearance in Big Finish. The comics, yes. Now it's interesting. The original plans in the second 8th Doctor novel, Vampire Science, the companion was supposed to be Grace, but the rights thing blocked that out. And then Sam, the character Sam, came into being, who was a very good companion. But yeah, they were originally, the books were going to have Grace, but the rights. That's how it works.
Right. Sometimes
She was
really
also
make things
this is
weird.
interesting. Grace Holloway was a guest at Sarah Jane Smith's funeral in the Farewell Sarah Jane comic strip.
Oh, interesting.
I think the legacy of the show are the fact that Paul McGann became is a great doctor. The audios that he has done, I just love him to death. I am when Night of the Doctor came out. And I am one of the ones who, when they always talk about, Russell always talks about, a WHOniverse and spinoffs and stuff. I am one of the ones, and there are a lot of people who think like me. I'm one of the ones who go, they should do at least a mini series with the Eighth Doctor.
That would be fun.
Mini series. They should, but will they? Who knows? Who knows? And that's my bad Tom Baker impersonation.
But you're right. I will absolutely concede that Paul, in retrospect, back in the 90s, I felt one way, and nowadays I feel very differently. He's an extremely good actor, which I always knew, but now I like his Doctor. Now I respect his character so much more, and he is appropriately in canon where he should be.
Yeah. Okay. I agree. I definitely agree with that. I want to let people know something. We're talking about the TV movie. We've had a lot of appearances on Mark Who 42 of different people from the TV movie. I mean, we've had Sylvester on and stuff, but we've had the writer, Matthew Jacobs. We've had him on episode 145. You can find that on YouTube, episode 145 of Mark Who 42. Daphne was on a two-parter, episodes 189 to 190.
Nice.
We had Yi So on twice, episode 78 and again on 130. And Jeremy Raddick has been on like an umpteenth amount of times. So we were trying to get him on today's episode. He is working on a play right now, so he couldn't do it. He was unavailable. So, but yeah, he gives his well wishes to us for doing this episode. And yeah, I mean, the TV movie, even though there were all those, I didn't cringe at those things, it was still I still was very happy the fact that there was televised 2 on again for 90 minutes plus commercials.
Well, actually, wait, there is a trivia thing. I remember in 1996, I was in Miami, and they were going to rerun it around Christmas time, but they changed their mind at the last minute and replaced it with a rerun of Revenge of the Nerds.
I believe that. I don't remember that, but I believe that.
I'd also heard that they were going to run it on December 30th, 1999.
December 31st, 1999. Yeah, that was something I heard Fox was going to do, and it would have been kind of cool.
And then it didn't happen. I think that, let's just be honest, we've had these discussions before where too often, especially American studios and producers, if they're not guaranteed a sure thing, they don't do it. But what's funny is they already had it in the can. They ran it once. There's not much that you run other than Dick Clark's, New Year's Eve party.
Oh, please.
Why not run it again?
Please.
Why didn't they take that chance? I will question that. However, I have heard that they have either just released or are about to release a 4K version of it on Blu-ray.
Not available in the United States. I don't know if it's playable on the United States machines. It's not even. I mean, eventually maybe they will, but no, it's not. The same thing. The Blu-ray and the DVD. It took so long for us to get over here, even though everything else came here. The TV movie never came here for a while, and now this 4K thing with the Steelbook with tons and tons and tons of special stuff.
I would love.
You don't have yet. If you want it, I think you can get like a $450 multi-regional 4K player on Amazon. You can play it then, but I'm not spending $450 on a 4K machine right now. No. So I will not be getting that. And it's a shame because I would like to see it. It's got the VHS version, it's got the televised version, it's got The Blu-ray, it's got different versions of it. They have all the different. They took all the film they made it, and they're the special stuff on this 4K release are so amazing. And
yeah,
we don't get it. But
Which
we
is a
got
pity.
the show first here. We saw it 2 weeks before they did. So yay, team.
I want to see if
that's all we get.
Yeah.
if you do get the DVD, the regular DVD. I don't know about all the other stuff, but the regular DVD had one. The reason I bought it was because it was going to do a documentary on the Paul McGann comics. So,
ooh.
So they did. The thing is, for the other for all the doctors, at least through 1 through 8, they had Tom Baker had it on Seeds of Doom. I can't remember for which other doctors they put it, but it was the documentary was called Strip for Action.
Yes,
and
I
they
remember
would
Strip for
document
Action. Yeah,
that Doctor's eras in comic strips. So, and Paul, of course, after Tom Baker, they covered obviously Doctor Who magazine and that era of comic strips. And Paul had a very good run on the comic strip.
I'm looking across the room right now to my shelf of Doctor Who videos.
My shelf is outside of my office. So.
And I can see my Blu-ray, my British Blu-ray of the TV movie. Not because they weren't releasing an American version of it, so I had to get the British one. There's an American DVD, but I don't remember if there's an American Blu-ray yet or not.
I don't think so.
Not the ones that they're releasing the seasons, but I'm talking about the actual release of just the movie Blu-ray. I don't think there was a American release, or if there was, it was way after I got this one. Who knows? Anyway,
last thoughts.
Final thoughts. I thought this was a great movie. Even though my younger self had major issues with it, it was a great movie. It was great to be there. And I also feel thankful that I got to interview people from the TV movie at the convention. I was on panels with them. It was fun. I was a moderator. I'm going to tell a story. Sad sack moment, but still cool. I was supposed to. They were supposed to be doing a commentary, and I was hosting the commentary. Right, we're gonna show it on the screen, on big screen, and we were gonna have all the actors with me, and we were gonna do the commentary. There was only one microphone. I couldn't find anyone else. No, there was no tech support to get another microphone. So in my mind, there's no way we could do a commentary. So what I did was, I did a half-hour interview with them. I moderated a half-hour panel, passing the microphone back and forth. And then we let everyone watch the movie. Afterwards, Mark, you weren't supposed to do that, but what was I going to do? And I got 30 minutes with these guys, not including what I did in other panels. But yeah, so anyone who went to Geekonomicon who wanted an original commentary panel, it didn't happen because of me. It wasn't my fault. Anyone else? I
recommend viewing it another time. No matter what you thought about it 30 years ago, watch it again. There is good in it. There's great acting, and there's clearly a love of the subject. Definitely. I recommend it now.
Definitely.
Check it out. It created a great Doctor. It was exciting at the time. It was a bridge, between two eras. And I thought, I felt it was worth my time. If I had time, I would have rewatched it too.
Yeah, I've sat through it a numerous amount of times, but I guess I've done that to every episode of Doctor Who. Yeah. Okay, folks, we're gonna have to go here. We're gonna leave you guys. Thank you so much for listening to Mark Who 42. Definitely try out those other episodes I pointed out. The episode numbers I gave just a little bit before. Maybe I'll put them in the liner notes as well. Next week, or not next week, but the next show, we are going to have a pre-Monsters of Doctor Who interview with the man behind the monster of Doctor Who, John Davey. We'll have that in a couple weeks. Until next time, folks, from all of us, myself, Mark Baumgarten, Vicky Jakubowski, and Juan Sanmiguel, so long, arrivederci, and allons-y. You've been listening to Mark Who 42. Your hosts, Mark Baumgarten, Vicky Jakubowski, Juan Sanmiguel, and Zion Quiros. If you'd like to leave a comment for us, please email us at markwho42.42@gmail.com. Mark Who 42's Universe is produced and directed by Mark Baumgarten. Copyright 2026.